My name is Mike Gallagher. For those who don't know me, just a little short introduction. I've been in the nutritional industry for almost 20 years. I'm a certified lifestyle educator. I'm only here during the wellness events. I'm not here normally. Normally, I'm at other offices all around the state of Pennsylvania and Ohio. So if there is any practitioners that you know of that is open to nutrition, I'd be more than happy to go see them. So come see me afterward. But I deal with all different types of modalities. I deal with some medical doctors, some DOs, chiropractors, nutritionists, psychologists, kinesiologists, hypnotherapists, and everybody in between. Naturopathists. So everybody looks at health a little bit differently. Everybody has their specialty, okay? But again, at the core of every one of our programs, it is always about the food, first and foremost, making healthy, smart decisions consistently with the food, reducing stress, exercising, and then, and only then, using the right supplements and the right combinations, what we call therapeutic ingredients, high enough dosages to actually work, and then we can have some truly miraculous results. And especially with this condition, blood sugar, diabetes. So some of you I've talked to already about this condition. Some of you might be hearing about this talk for the first time, but does everybody here either personally or know somebody in your family or friends who's a diabetic? Yeah. Is there anybody that doesn't know anybody that's a diabetic these days? Yeah. Everybody knows somebody. And for this particular condition, this definitely hits home with my own family, okay? I've shared this before, but my father was a type 2 diabetic, okay? And these are the stats that you don't hear from the American Diabetic Association or from your medical doctor or from your dietitian. But the stats are with diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, it's not the first 10 years typically when things start happening, okay? It's the second 10-year period when things start dramatically falling apart. So if you look at the statistics, the chance of you having a heart attack in the second 10-year period, if you live that long, granted, are 50% of having a heart attack. The chance of you losing your eyesight, going blind, is 75%. The chance of you losing your kidneys and going on kidney dialysis is 75%. And you can have neuropathy anytime during this process. Okay, and neuropathy means literally losing the feelings and numbness in your fingers and toes. But in the second 10-year period, it is 95%. Okay, and it can be even worse. You can lose your hands, lose your feet, completely amputated. Okay? Unfortunately, my dad hit every one of those stats. My dad was diagnosed at age 40, did not live a healthy life. He had his first heart attack at age 50. He had a quadruple bypass at 55. He lost his eyesight at 59, went blind, had to retire from the job after 30 years. He couldn't drive, couldn't see. He lost his kidneys a year later at 60, had to be on kidney dialysis. Once you go on kidney dialysis, if you don't have a kidney transplant, and they told my dad that his heart could not take a kidney transplant, basically your life is predicted between 3 and 5 years. And he lasted 3 years. He died at 63. Okay? So I know the devastating impact that this disease has more than anybody. In the last 5 to 10 years of his life was as poor can get. So this one really hits home with me. And, with diabetes, you go through a lot of phases. Usually there's the denial. Can't be me. I'm invincible. Okay? Then you hit a wall or something happens dramatically. Then you realize that you do have it. And then the message the medical doctors are telling you there's no hope. So you go through these stages feeling hopeless and helpless. Depression sits in. So there's a lot of different factors that play a role. So the problem is family can be your best patients or they can be your worst. And my dad was a very stubborn Irishman. Okay? And he knew what I did. I've helped thousands of people. I've helped people I've never even met before over the phone or on the radio shows. But I couldn't help my own father because I can't help people who can't help themselves or who don't want to help themselves. And my dad got severely depressed, and he, first of all, did not believe in this, what we do, and he did not think that it would work. But I'm here to tell you that it will work, and that we've helped people, hundreds of people, in just 3 months or less with type 2 diabetes if you follow this program. So, those are some of the thoughts that I just wanted to share with you first and foremost. It is a devastating disease, but it also is one of the easiest to fix. Okay, but the later you wait, the harder it is. Okay, so just wanted to mention that first and foremost. Okay, so if we look at the stats, if we look at the statistics right now, diabetes is out of control. Found in all races and ages, so it's not. There's no one particular group more than another. Statistically, almost 24 million people in USA have diabetes. Over 90%, 99.5% are type 2. But the scary part is the younger generation. 10% of all women, 11% of all men over 20 right now are type 2 diabetic. 7th leading cause of death, World Health Organization calls it a global health problem. So the other scary fact is there's over 100 million people who are one step away from type 2 diabetes. There's 300 million people in the country. That's 1 in 3 people are one step away. And we'll show you what we mean by that statistically. What are the markers that we're looking for that on that. And they're predicting by 2050, that number will be 150 million. 2020, okay? In just 4 years, 1 out of 2 people in the United States will be pre-diabetic, one step away. So you can see, especially in the last 20, 30 years, number of diagnosed people with diabetes skyrocketing, going straight up. And from the time of onset to diagnosis, typically 4 to 7 years. So it does happen relatively quickly, gets very progressive. So keep that in mind. Again, what we just alluded to, the children, 1 in 3 children born in 2000 will develop diabetes if they continue to eat the poor diets and the poor lifestyle. Standard American diet we call SAD. All right, so there's 2 types of diabetes now, basically. Type 1 is either you're born with this or it's usually very younger in life. Type 1 is basically considered an autoimmune issue. Your pancreas is completely shut down. You need insulin to survive. Now, can we reverse type 1 diabetes? No, we can't do that. But what we would say is that we can help manage your insulin levels with this program better. and you would need to take less insulin if you follow this program. In particular, there's a supplement. You can do this whole program, but one in particular will also help with type 1 diabetes, because there is research on that one. And then we get into type 2 diabetes. Okay, so this is the biggie. Most people fall into this category. There is a genetic predisposition, okay? But this is not the end-all be-all. So am I more susceptible because my father was a diabetic? Yes. Do I have to eat better than the so-called genetically superior person? Yes. Do I have to work out twice as hard as the average person? Yes. But so many people today said, well, my dad has it, I'm going to have it, nothing I can do, gee golly whiz. Right? That's wrong. So what we do, nutrigenomics, this field of nutrition. We cannot change your genes, but we can change your gene expression. And think of it as a light switch. With the foods and the supplements that you're taking, you can either turn them on or turn them off with your foods. They're either inflammation or anti-inflammatory foods. And the more consistent you are with the healthier food choices, you can change this genetic expression. Okay? So this is a lifestyle diet program at the core of it. And you hear certain other phrases that are out there, metabolic syndrome, syndrome X. These are basically categorized as pre-diabetic states. So there is an obesity connection with type 2 diabetes, yes. But is every person who's obese diabetic? No. But 9 out of 10 are. 90%. Okay? Nutrient deficiency definitely plays a role. Stress can play a role. Lack of exercise, as we said, this is a lifestyle program at the core issue. All right, so just a little bit of technical info here on insulin. Okay, so the medical doctors like to throw these big fancy terms out there, hyperglycemia and hyperinsulinemia. For the average person, they don't care about that. What they care about, what does that mean to me? How does that make me feel? Well, typically a person whose blood sugar is out of control, they're typically always hungry, which leads to the weight gain, which leads to the inflammation, which leads to the diabetes. Hormonal issues can play a role. Typically, you always feel tired, especially in the afternoon. You're always craving carbohydrates because your blood sugar is out of control. Blood pressure can be an issue. Doesn't have to be all of these issues. These are just some of your major issues. Frequent urination also is another problem with this. All right, so who is a pre-diabetic? How do we determine that? So this is how we look at it on blood labs. Okay, so triglycerides, if they're above 150. We always look at the waist circumference. For men, 40 inches for men, 35 inches for women. Are you exercising? The blood sugar, your elevated blood sugar, 110, and blood pressure over 130. Okay, those are the 5 markers that we look at. If you have 3 out of those 5, you are pre-diabetic. You fit into that 100 million people right now. You're one step away from turning into type 2 diabetes. Okay? So, keep that in mind. All right, other markers we look at here. So some of them we just touched on. We also look at your cholesterol levels, if your LDL is high, HDL low. We also look at your fasting blood sugar, if it's above 110, as we mentioned. Your postprandial blood sugar, that's 2 hours after you eat, if it's between 141 and 199. Okay, BMI above 30. Some other markers, PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome for females. This usually is a blood sugar issue, and as well as a hormonal issue. And the other thing that we want to mention to people is skin tags. And these are skin tags not that you're born with, but these are later in life, especially around the neck area or under the arm. If you start having these, I always tell people to get your blood sugar checked. Okay, that's got a very strong correlation with blood sugar problems and skin tags, as well as thyroid issues as well. So either blood sugar or thyroid if you are developing skin tags around your neck or under your arm. Yes?
Can you give me an example? What's a skin tag?
They're like little skin flaps that appear on your neck, or usually around the neck area. So they're not moles or warts, but they're just little flaps of skin that develop, accumulation of skin. Okay? All right, so that's pre-diabetic. Triglycerides. Triglycerides. All right, then these are the technical definition of diabetes. Looking at the markers, postprandial, everything is obviously elevated. Postprandial glucose above 200, fasting glucose above 126, A1C above 6.5. And A1C, hemoglobin A1C, I feel is the best test for blood sugar. Okay? Why? Because in the past, what we would say very intelligent diabetics, right before their blood sugar test to go see the doctor, they would eat really clean. They would know what to eat. And they would eat very well for 2 or 3 days, then go in, get their blood work done. And their blood work, their postprandial, their fasting blood sugar, all were normal. And the medical doctor's like, hey, what's going on? Because these are very short. These are very within what you've eaten in the last day or so. But then they developed this test, the hemoglobin A1C, and this tracks your blood sugar for 3 months. It's a 3-month evaluation of your blood sugar. You can't manipulate or cheat the A1C. And if you did eat well for 3 months, you probably would not be a diabetic. Okay? So the A1C is the most accurate. It used to be 7.0. Was type 2, they did lower it to 6.5. And if you're 6.0 or higher now, that's considered pre-diabetic. 6.0 or not. Most labs are testing for A1C. Okay? If your medical doctor is not, request it. It doesn't cost a penny. Just say, can you check my A1C, please? Okay? But that is a very accurate way of testing for blood sugar. Okay, so the diet, which I hate that word. It's a 4-letter word. Lifestyle, okay? Lifestyle. This is where I have a big issue with the conventional medical doctors and the dietitians, okay? Because what diabetics are taught at the hospital, they're taught the food pyramid. The food pyramid is a lot of grains, dairy, and so forth. We have seen that that diet does not work. It is slightly getting better, slightly, but we would recommend what we like to say a modified Mediterranean diet. Okay, this is modified. These are all low blood sugar foods. Okay, so there's lots of diets out there, but we've gotten the best results with this. And this is right in your manual, right in your brochure. This is a Mediterranean diet. If you eat these foods consistently, it will maintain your blood sugar. Okay, you will feel a lot better if you eat these foods. Yes, yes. Okay, so here's another little joke I like to say about this, right? Because we want to keep this light, doesn't have to be heavy conversation. Most people know what to eat for most part. But I always tell people, listen, I'm not a racist, but avoid all the whites. All the whites. That's a really simple way of anything that is white food, avoid. Okay? So always go brown. Go like UPS, go brown. All right? So that's if you adjusted that one little task or one little tip, it would help you. But I remember getting in arguments with my father. I would look at his diet. Bagels, acceptable for breakfast. White potatoes, acceptable. Okay? On and on and on and on it went. And I used to say to my dad, I'm like, Dad, you shouldn't be eating this. And he'd say, well, that's not what they told me in the hospital. And then I would say, is it working? And he'd say, you can leave now. Okay? So, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. Okay? If it worked, folks, I'd be all in. It doesn't work. That diet is completely outdated. There are a few dietitians that I work with. They know it's wrong, but they're trapped. They're trapped like medical doctors are trapped. Okay? They get all the referrals in the hospital from the medical doctor. If they go against the medical doctor's wishes, they will lose their job. Okay? They're stuck. So they know it doesn't work. But this does work, folks. We've seen this work over and over and over again. It's nothing crazy. Lean proteins, chicken, turkey, fish. Know your sources. Organic as much as possible. Non-genetically modified foods. Okay? Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. I know it's harder in the winter, but do your best. Good fats. Good seeds, good nuts. We broke it all down in a brochure. Bring that brochure with you. Put it on the fridge. Take it to your grocery store. The more committed you are to that, the faster, quicker results you will get with this program. If you don't change your foods, this program will not work. This program will not work. Okay? So we don't want you to waste your time or your money on these supplements if you're not going to change your ways with the diet. Is it hard? Yes, it is. It is. Okay? It isn't easy. I know it is. They put a lot of bad things in food. Sugar, I feel, is the most addictive drug there is. There have been numerous studies with animals where they have cocaine in one corner, sugar in another. Animals would literally kill themselves to get to the sugar over cocaine. Okay? Most addictive drug there is. Usually, though, after a few days of eating these foods, your body doesn't have those cravings anymore. The supplements will help reduce these cravings as well. When we balance out your blood sugar, it really helps with the cravings. Okay? But you have to have intestinal fortitude. You have to have willpower and determination. Okay? I'm not saying forever. I'm telling you, give me 3 months. 90 days out of your life for this program to work. It will work, but you have to have that willpower. I wish I could bottle it in a pill and sell it to you, but I can't. I can't be there to shop for you at the grocery store. I can't be there to prepare and make your food. You have to want to. Okay? I've given you all the tools to do it, but you have to do it. But it does work. Okay? All right. Now, the great thing is, some additional resources here, okay? So, we want to, again, there's different theories on how many carbs you can have. Again, the lower the better, though, again, from whole food sources. But there's a couple websites that we listed. fitday.com is one, carbcounter.org. The paleo diet. So the paleo diet takes the Mediterranean diet, our diet, a little bit more extreme, where you're eliminating all dairy, grains, and legumes. Okay? So basically the only difference is legumes and grains from the diet. Will you get faster, quicker results with paleo? Yes, you will. Is it harder to do initially? Yes, it is. So the Mediterranean is a little bit easier, but if you want faster results, paleo will give you faster results. And then this book, Diabetes Solution, by Dr. Bernstein. So a lot of diabetics, when they're talking to their conventional medical doctor, and they go over this program with them. Okay, a lot of them say, well, medical doctors, well, I don't believe in this. I think it's garbage. I think it's a waste of time. Well, this doctor, Dr. Bernstein, she is a medical doctor. She had type 2 diabetes. She did everything that she was trained in med school. It was not getting better. It was getting worse. She then did all this research, which is everything we're talking about today, and she reversed her own type 2 diabetes in 90 days. And she wrote a book about it. And in this book, she explains why medical doctors think the way they do, and it's wrong, and she says it's wrong in the book as a medical doctor, and why this works and the difference. Okay? So if you ever run into that static, shall we say, from a medical doctor, you can tell the medical doctor, if he says, well, I don't think this works, I don't believe in it, you can say to medical doctor, with all due respect, doctor, there is actually another medical doctor who reversed type 2 diabetes. Her name is Dr. Bernstein. The book is called Diabetes Solution. Have you read that? That's all you have to say. And then you should look at the face with the doctor. Okay? Because a medical doctor, they do have good intentions, okay? But they have no training in this. They have no training in nutrition. 99%. There are a few that are starting to be more involved in nutrition, but most of them are not. So you could follow that up with, oh, by the way, doc, what nutritional classes did you take in med school or since med school? If you really want to push it. Okay? But they have no knowledge of this. Their only knowledge is medications and surgery. That is it. Okay? Drugs do not really help. Short term maybe, but long term do not, and they have a lot of side effects. Okay. So fabulous book for you to check out if you want a little backup, shall we say. Now, as far as the supplements, now can you do this just on its own without the supplements? Yes, you can just do it with the foods, but the supplements will speed this process up, jumpstart it tremendously. So the number one thing that we recommend for blood sugar is the shakes. Why? Because the shakes are a meal. It's one less meal you have to worry about preparing and making. Also, if you have the shakes for breakfast, it balances your blood sugar within 30 minutes. It will dramatically reduce any cravings, and it sets up the rest of the day for you. And you think about most people's breakfasts are pretty poor. Okay? Usually very carbohydrate, sugary foods, right? Toast, cereal with milk. By the way, milk has 13 grams of sugar per glass. 13 grams of sugar in milk. Okay, so you have sugar on top of sugar. All right, toast, bagels, donuts, muffins, pancakes, waffles. Sugar, 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 sugar. Okay, what happens if you don't burn that off? If you do not exercise that sugar, you'll get real high, that energy, and then crash and burn, creates insulin. Okay, eventually that puts pressure on your pancreas, and then that converts to fat if you don't burn that off. Okay, so that's the insulin sugar fat connection. All right, so if you have a shake, which is protein balances out your blood sugar. Okay, your muscles need protein. The more leaner you are, the more you will speed up your metabolism, the more you'll be able to burn more calories, even while you're sleeping, the leaner you are. Also, you need certain protein for your brain as well. Very important. So we have two options. Some of you guys have already well familiar with this. Our Super Shake, which is our vegetarian, very unique combination of rice, pea, and pumpkin, as well as fiber, as well as MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides, which burn the good fat, that burns the bad fat. So we have several flavors, 7 different flavors, but we also have an unflavored version. We call it naked. Okay? Most proteins of the market are sweetened with the artificial sweeteners, such as sucralose, or the trademark name is Splenda. the yellow packet. Just so you know, Splenda was developed in World War II as an insecticide. It is banned in 75% of the world, including all of Europe, Russia, and China. But not in the USA. No, sirree. Not in the home of the brave. Right? So, you always want to ask two questions with proteins if you're buying it elsewhere. What's it sweetened with? Ours, we use stevia. Stevia is from a plant. It will balance out your blood sugar issues. It will balance them out, okay? Very, very safe, very healthy for you. We sell stevia just by itself, yes.
Is Truvia the same thing?
Truvia is not the same thing. Truvia is not stevia. They're actually using alcohol sugar is Truvia. Is that better than, and then some are giving some blends of sucralose in some of them, so you just have to look at the bottle, but that's alcohol sugar in some of them. But again, stevia. You want to always look at stevia.
Sometimes they mix that with something else.
They use, some are doing some combinations, but it's still, if it's an artificial sweetener, it's still an artificial sweetener, okay? Artificial sweeteners, by the way, will actually increase your cravings for carbohydrates. They'll actually make you hungrier. And there's studies out there, people who drank regular soda versus diet soda. People who drank a diet soda gained twice as much weight as those who drank a regular soda. And we don't want you drinking any soda because there's no nutritional value at all, but that just shows you, okay? So we have 7 different flavors. We're mixing up samples of this, but the unflavored, this is stevia free, so we have an unflavored. This we're running a special promotion this week, last day of it, 50% off. 50% off. The normal retail on this is $60, but there's 30 servings. This is 30 meals. Okay, so you look at this totally different than you would a pill or supplement. This is a meal. If you use these properly, these take the place of your other foods, other meals. So if you place this on a budgetary level, this will actually bring down your food budget. Now this one at 50% is $30. 30 meals, $1 a day. Okay, that's a heck of a deal. Normally it's $2 a day. It's still a really good deal. But the unflavored is 50% off. The other ones are 30% off. Okay? So that's one option if you're a vegetarian or you want more of a vegetarian-based protein. We do have our whey protein. Our whey is the only form of dairy that we sell. But it's grass-fed, okay? Organic, grass, okay? No hormones, no antibiotics given to cattle. Okay, so it's really super clean. So this has a slightly creamier texture to it than the Super Shake. And again, we have an unflavored version of this, and this also is 50% off, or we have 3 other flavors as well, chocolate, vanilla, and berry. So now these unflavored, do you have to add your own flavoring? Yes, you do have to add your own flavoring, fruit, or the colors, which we'll get into here in a moment, to flavor it up. Otherwise, it doesn't taste that good because there's no flavoring, okay? But if we're trying to lose weight and we're trying to balance out the blood sugar, I recommend water and ice, okay? Water and ice. If we start adding almond milk, okay, those have additional calories, okay? It does add up, so keep that in mind. Now, here's a little tidbit here. Now, if we want to take it to the ultimate level for blood sugar, here's a little tip with the shakes. And I was at a seminar recently, and this is the doctor. He actually had 2 different cases of type 2 diabetics. Following this diet, the only thing he did was use this protein, but he took it to another level. Instead of 1 scoop as a meal, he suggested half a scoop with water and ice 30 minutes before each meal. Okay? 30 minutes before each meal. And he actually documented 2 cases that he reversed type 2 diabetes in 30 days. Just doing this tip. Half a scoop, 30 minutes before each meal, following that food plan. So, Is that extreme? Yes. Can everybody handle that? No. But if you can, if you want the fastest, quickest results, which most people are looking for, that is taking it to the next level using the protein this way. Why? Because in 30 minutes, it will stabilize your blood sugar. It will also reduce your cravings. Okay? So keep that in mind. Otherwise, just take it for breakfast. Okay. Now, the other fantastic thing is that there are so many natural nutrients out there that can help with blood sugar. There's literally hundreds. Okay? But we pick the best of the best. So on an herbal level, cinnamon, Gymnus sylvestris has been used for over 2,000 years, and white mulberry leaf, which we'll talk about more in a moment. But here is the research done. This is one of the famous studies ever done with cinnamon, where they divided two groups. Okay, so 30 people were placebo, 30 people received 1, 3, or 6 grams a day of cinnamon. Every group that got at least 1 gram of cinnamon lowered their blood sugar 18 to 20% in 30 days, just by using cinnamon, 1 gram of cinnamon. That is the key number where we need to be at. So keep that number in mind when we get to the formulas. Other nutrients, chromium, taurine, alpha-lipoic acid, your B vitamins, vanadil, biotin. Okay, all these have research to help with blood sugar. Could you buy every one of these ingredients individually? Yes, but that would be a lot of pills and a lot expensive. Or you can do one thing, and that one thing is sugar solve. So sugar solve, we feel, is the most comprehensive blood sugar formula in the market. It contains every one of those nutrients, and the dosage we would recommend is 4 capsules a day, 2 breakfast, 2 dinner. If you want even better results, I recommend 30 minutes before breakfast and dinner, because it will have additional appetite suppressant quality to it. It will reduce cravings if you can take it 30 minutes prior, just like the protein. But if you forget, just take it with your meal, okay? So, why is 4 capsules the magic number? Because 2 capsules gives you 500 milligrams, 4 capsules gives you 1 gram of cinnamon. That's where we want you to be, okay? 4 capsules. This is like a natural metformin or natural glucophage. This is very powerful supplement, very powerful. And it does work if you do this program. Okay, third formula would be the oranges. Okay, so this is one of our fruit and beverage drinks, the oranges. We have samples of it in the back. I think it, to me, tastes like orange tang. You can mix this in the vanilla shake, for example, and it has like an orange creamsicle flavor to it. So that would be another way that you can take this. Okay, but if you're struggling to get enough fruit and veggies in your program, that's where this can be helpful for. But why is this good for blood sugar? Because there's an ingredient in this called green coffee bean extract, and this converts to chlorogenic acid, which slows the release of blood sugar. So again, it keeps everything balanced. Okay, it's also really good anytime you're feeling a crash and burn. So typically in the afternoon, right? You wanted something to give you energy instead of coffee or caffeine or tea. This would be another option, okay, for you. It's more of a cellular energy versus caffeine energy, but it does work, and it works very, very effectively. Last supplement that I wanted to mention to everybody is this one, super white mulberry. So we all remember that nursery around the mulberry bush, right? But this is a totally different type of mulberry. This one comes from Asia. And this has been used for thousands and thousands of years with tremendous results. And it is one of the few natural substances that there's actually research on is for type 1 diabetes. This will actually help protect the pancreas as well. This one is actually on super special this week. Today is the last day for the 60% with this one instead of the 30%. So if you want even faster results, you can combine this with the sugar solve. But there is also research for type 2 diabetes, also for the heart. Again, we explained that connection with diabetes, blood sugar, and the heart. So it actually helps prevent coronary heart disease. It improves atherosclerosis. It helps with cholesterol. And there's actually even the rarest of rare, we found a published study that can actually even help with cancer. It actually helped stop metastasized cancer cells from spreading. So if you have any of those other issues, heart, cholesterol, cancer issues, I would suggest this as well for you. Dosage on this is, again, take it the same exact way as the sugar solve, 2 breakfast, 2 dinner, or 30 minutes prior for even that additional appetite suppressant. The only caution with this is cyclosporine, which is a transplant drug. So if you are going through that process, we would avoid it. But other than that, which is very rare, it's not an issue at all. Very, very safe. Okay. Last thing, shoot, I forgot to bring this up, is called neuropathies. Okay? So for a lot of people, this is when it really hits home. Okay? When you can't feeling your fingers or your toes, or they go numb, or there's pain involved, okay? That's when you say, uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem, okay? Because up until then, and this is the problem that I have with medications, up until then, with diabetes, it's a party going on. Just eat whatever you want. Oh, well, just take more medication. Just take more glucophage. Just take more metformin. But when you start to not feel your fingers or toes, and there's pain, that's when it finally hits you. And that's the first sign of many, many other signs to come. And it all will be worse than that one, guaranteed. Okay? So we developed a formula here called neuropathies that we've had tremendous results with. And it has so many ingredients in sugar salt, but we added a few other ones, such as boswellia in here. It's an anti-inflammatory. The forms that we're using in this is the most absorbable forms out there. They get the maximum benefit. But we would dose this 4 capsules initially, 2 in the morning, 2 at lunch, until you start getting the feelings back. Typically, most people do feel within 2 weeks. We've had some cases where people had diabetic neuropathy for 20 years. They noticed this in 3 days. Okay, we've had some incredible results with this formula. But this would be for any type of nerve issue. This would be our number one. So spinal stenosis is a nerve issue, okay? Any nerve pain at all, we would recommend the neuropathies formula for, okay? But 4 a day, you should notice this within 1 bottle. And again, for a lot of people, diabetics, because they've been given the message of hopelessness and helplessness, and the medical doctors and dietitians pound that into you, there's no hope. If you start getting your feelings back in your toes and fingers in 2 weeks, this will give you the hope. Okay, so for a lot of people, this is a starting point. And then that encourages them to do the rest of the program. Okay, but we've had some incredible results. Now, lastly, I wanted to share a couple cases that we've had here at the clinic. So here was a case, type 2 diabetic, weight gain, fatigue, insulin, all the issues that we talked about. After she could only afford one thing and do one thing. So we said, let's just do the sugar solve. Okay, so after 8 weeks of just the sugar solve and changing her diet and exercising, okay, so that's all important. Her blood sugar went from 258 to 128 in 8 weeks. 50% improvement. She lost 22 pounds in those 8 weeks. And most importantly, her A1C went from 8.7 to 5.9. In 8 weeks, she went from type 2 diabetic to not a diabetic at all. Not even pre-diabetic in 8 weeks. Just with the sugar solve. Okay? So that was one case. Here's another case. 42-year-old male, type 2 diabetic. Again, extreme blood sugar. Very tired, especially in the afternoon. A1C double digits, 10.3, sky high. So he made a commitment to the diet. 3.5 months, he was able to do the sugar solve, the oranges, multi, and fish oil. He also said he found a lot of good information on WebMD, diabetes reversal report, so that's another resource for you to check out. But look at his results. He had his A1C levels checked after 3.5 months, went from 10.6 to 6.0. The medical doctor said he's never seen anything like this. Never. Did he ask him what he took? Nope. Couldn't care less. Meanwhile, he sees 100 other people that day. Interesting, isn't it? Okay? So that's another case. Last case here. 52-year-old female, type 2 diabetic, A1C, 8.6. She was on metformin, hated the way it made her feel. For her, it just gave her nauseous and headaches. All right? She heard Dr. on the radio. Doctor's talking about we can help people. By the way, this is minor. Usually you get a lot of stomach issues, all kinds of other constipation, right? I always try to ask people, how do you feel on the medications? You know, because that'll get you fired up. That'll get you upset and frustrated. So she really wanted to get off the metformin. So she made a strong commitment to the program, walking, which is our first starting point, 5 days a week, sugar salt, pro oranges, and on her own, because legally we can't tell you get off any medication, she discontinued metformin on her own as her blood sugar was lowering. Okay, so this is very, very critical, folks. If you're on the medication, blood sugar medication, you have to be checking your medication or your blood sugar every day. If you're not checking your blood sugar every day, we can't help you. We would not recommend any of these things. And then and this is the one thing they do drill in the head at the hospital. They do a really good job of this. I know this for absolute certainty. And if someone says to me, well, I don't check my medication, I don't check my blood sugar. And then I look them right in the face and I tell them, you mean to tell me there's no difference in your blood sugar if you have a nice healthy salad with some apple cider vinegar dressing or oil and vinegar or balsamic dressing, organic, steamed vegetables, lean, grilled chicken, okay, versus pizza, beer, and ice cream. No difference in your blood sugar, no difference in how you feel, and you take exactly the same amount of blood sugar medication. And then they look at me and they're like, yeah, you got me. You're right. I should. You're right. You're right. So it's really important. How important? We've had 2 cases where people didn't check their blood sugar, didn't change their blood sugar, were taking a sugar salt, and their blood sugar went too low. They bottomed out, had to be rushed to the hospital, okay, because they weren't checking. That's how powerful the sugar solve is, folks. You have to be checking your blood sugar in order to do these supplements, okay? You know, that's a great question. Everybody's a little bit different. I just think once a day is the best time, whatever is the best and easiest time for you. But you can go super crazy on blood sugar, but once a day minimum, whatever is the best time for you. There's a lot of theories on the best time there. So, going back to the case here, 2 months later, 2 months, her A1C went down to 5.1. Again, the medical doctor said they've never seen this drop before. And they didn't even ask her what she did. Couldn't care less. She got off the medication on her own. And this is the other point. She continued the food program. And she does the shakes occasionally. She was able to get off the sugar solve, right? So the sugar solve is just meant to be like a jump start. It's not meant to be forever and ever. So the whole idea with people is not to switch from blood sugar medication to sugar solve for the rest of your life. It's to get your body back to where it should be. As long as you're eating the right foods, that's the key. It's a jump start. It's a catalyst. It's not a crutch, though. I also hear this a lot too. Sometimes in the field, work with doctors who tell me, well, you want me to do this program, and this program would be over $100, and well, my insurance, my copay on metformin is $20, and I think I'm just going to stick with the metformin. Okay? And I always say to a person, okay, let's do a little math. $20 every month times 12 months for a year is $240 for the rest of your life. And oh, by the way, you're going to need another blood sugar pill very shortly. That'll be another copay. And then you'll be another one, and then another one. And it adds up. So really, what's more expensive at the end of the day? Oh, I never thought about it that way. Yes, that's how people have to think about this. Okay? If you do the math. Last case is not even on here because I spoke to someone earlier this week. 77 years old male. Had type 2 diabetes. Was on metformin. Did this program. We talked about at the last wellness week. 2 months. He's not on metformin. He's not a diabetic at age 77. Doctor can't believe it. So no matter what age you are, if you make a commitment to this program, it does work. Okay, so let's review, because we talked a lot about a lot of things. Number one, the food. So exercise, walking. Shakes would be number one. If you're going to do a pill, the sugar solve. Pro oranges, especially if you feel tired and energy levels. If you have type 1 diabetes or you want even faster results, the super white mulberry. Again, it's at a reduced price this week. If you have neuropathy already, neuropathies. Again, you could do any of these, or that's putting it all together. Whatever you can handle. Do not want to overwhelm you. Okay? If you're doing any other supplements, this won't interfere with anything else. But we don't want to overwhelm you. So you have two choices. You can put those other supplements on the back burner for right now and focus on this, which we would suggest, or you can add it to the rest of your routine. The choice is yours. But this will not interfere with anything else that you're already doing. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay? All right, so you all should have this handout. So let's make sure we take a look at that. So this should make more sense. So some different techniques on the back: activity, relaxation, the supplements. There's the core program, so it should make more sense to you. There's the diet. Now again, a lot of people, this can be very intimidating if you haven't eaten these foods. So I look at the foods, I look at it like people who give up smoking cigarettes. Has anybody here ever quit smoking? You have? Did you go cold turkey or slow wean? Cold turkey. Okay. So there's two types of people who quit smoking. One cold turkey, the other is a slow wean. For most people with food, it's a slow wean. Okay? So I suggest we start with the bottom and then work your way up one column at a time. Take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, whatever you can handle. But I think sometimes people get thrown so much information, it's too overwhelming, and then you don't do anything. So I look at it as like a slow wean. If you can do cold turkey, that's great. If you can say tonight, boom, never going to eat another bad thing again, that's great. But try to do it one column at a time, whatever at your pace, whatever your comfort level is, and then try to move up. Okay? The faster you do the whole list, the faster the results you're going to get. Okay? Everybody's going to have a setback. Everybody's going to have a bad meal. Everybody's going to have a wedding or anniversary or birthday party. But don't let that one bad meal turn into one bad day, turn into one bad week. If you fall off the horse, just get right back on and just try to eat a little bit better the next meal. Okay? You all can do it. You can do it. Okay? So the message I want to give everybody, again, by the way, people don't think there's studies. We listed all the references. These are what I would show a medical doctor and DOs. If people want the research, there is tons of them, okay? But the message again here, folks, is the message of hope, okay? This is the full message. This does work if you give it a chance. 90 days. Give it a chance, okay? My time is up. I appreciate it. God bless.